What is up, my ducks and drakes? Welcome to the Crawdad Lake. Today we will be reading Darkness in Light, a sanitized fanfic by mistwolf34. A couple things I would like to point out during this story is that there are multiple endings. There's 3 endings, and I'll leave the timestamps to those endings in the description below. I'll let you know when I'm reading, when those endings come, so you could go to the appropriate one you would like to go to. Feel free to read all 3 if you even want. It might get confusing if you read them back to back, though, so if you are doing the alternate endings, I would read it one time through for one ending, read it another time through for one ending, just to make it less confusing on yourself. It's actually quite the read. And another announcement I'd like to make is that your submissions for a gift of fanfiction are due on November 30th, which is only 5 days away. So if you'd like to be submitted into a gift of fanfiction, I would turn that in very soon. You have till the end of November to do that, though. 11:59 Central Daylight Time. With that, let's get on to the fic. Book summary. Logan is done being neglected and pushed to the side. The first appreciation he's gotten in months, and yet it means nothing to him. He's just a tool for them. Chapter 1. Destruction. Logan sank out from the room silently, dismissing the other's side's flattery and compliments. As much as it warmed his heart, deep down he doubted their sincerity. He simply disposed of a threat, nothing more, not to them. And they only listened to him when they realized they were out of other options, previously repeatedly telling him to shut up. He felt as if nothing more came of him than to be a tool. They pushed him to the side at every opportunity, sinking over him and hushing him, yet they wonder why he raises his voice to even be heard. They even gave the dark side's words more thought than his own. He couldn't deny the anger inside of him, the pain he wished he could say he didn't feel. He wished he could convince himself of the lie that he didn't feel anything at all. His room, however, said otherwise. As he rises in, he was reminded of the destruction he had caused after SVS, posters of the periodic table and torn from the walls, thin shreds that remained still clinging on the walls as if a wild animal had clawed across it. Books were haphazardly thrown across the floor like mines, bedsheets ripped from the bed, only barely clinging on. The whole room looked like a monster had been let loose inside. Perhaps it had, Logan wondered darkly, staring at his hands, which had caused the mess before him. He closed his hands tightly, causing his arms to shake. He took a sharp breath as tears built in his eyes, biting his lip in denial. He could not break down. Not again. He only just got validation, the first he's gotten in. He couldn't remember how long. Several episodes he knew that much, and yet that validation meant nothing. It changed to nothing. Months of being pushed aside for a hint of appreciation, and it meant nothing. He meant nothing. Nothing to him. Just a tool, a shield to keep themselves safe, letting him take the damage. If they weren't in danger, he was useless. Logan staggered in his bed, collapsing to his knees on the floor and clutching the bedsheets, desperately hoping and wishing for it to ground him in comfort, but to no avail. Frustration he kept hushed came crawling back up in destruction. He tore off the sheets, removing the last neatly tucked in the corner from its spot, holding its trophy only for a brief moment before flinging it across the room. His tears he fought back finally one, streaming down his face silently. He refused to make a sob, refused to alert of his pain. He didn't want pity, not that they would notice anyways. Or care, apparently. His attention turned to the bookshelf he didn't finish clearing, and in his last rush of decimation, he stormed off the shelf, clearing off the books one by one, throwing them across the floor. He suppressed the desire to wipe the whole shelf clean at once, or to hurl at the book into the wall. As satisfying as that may feel, it would draw attention to his room. They just let him tell him to shut up again, like they always do. A few self-destructive minutes passed. Logan stood in the middle of his room and missed the mess, panting slightly. He scanned over his room, almost admiring his creation for a moment. A bitter smirk crossed his expression for a brief moment. He trudged tiredly to his bed and let himself fall into it, ignoring the pang of pain went into his legs as he hit the wooden edge. He glared up at the ceiling and wild sleep to come over him. Chapter 2. Tears. Sleep never came. His eyes stung from tears and exhaustion. His thoughts were running wild in his mind. The only thing stirring in the house, if he didn't know better, he would have the thought he was the side of overthinking. His heart, which he wished was cold and unfeeling, felt absolutely shattered. The same thought ran circles in his mind, a question he wished he had never answered. He had an answer for. They don't want him here. They never do. So why does he keep coming back? The moment Roman had summoned him, the others actively tried to shut him up, saying Logan doesn't know what he is and isn't an overreaction. Saying that he doesn't understand feeling. No wonder he hid his own from them. They wouldn't believe him. They don't listen to him anyways. He thought he had ran out of tears to cry, but that was proven wrong. He sat with a small hiccup, wiping away his fresh tears. The dark sides were treated better than him, he realized darkly. They get listened to, even if it was through fear. He meant even less to them. Something about that made Logan cry harder, sobbing into his hands. He was nobody. He meant nothing. Did he always mean nothing to them? Did they ever care? Anger boiled in his blood, standing up abruptly. He didn't even think about his own actions. He muffled a sob as he peeked out of the room. If he wasn't going to be listened to, he was going to find a way to make them listen. At any cost, he was tired of being pushed around. He wasn't someone to be taken lightly. He wasn't just some tool. He was just as important as everyone else, if not more, he thought darkly, but quickly pushed that notion aside. He was walking into the dark hallway, holding his breath to keep his crying quiet. It hurt a bit. Everything hurt. A bit more pain didn't make much of a difference, though. Janice and Remus were on the couch, Janice boredly going through Netflix. It was impossible to find something they'd both like, but it was improvement from the usual fighting that ensued. For once, he was actually calm in the dark side's half of the realm. Remus was sprawled out on the couch with deceit, while he sat like a normal civilized person. The calm didn't last long, though. A shadow came from over the already dim room, but noticeable due to the rarity. Deceit groaned, looking for the couch. "What the hell do you, Logan?" Janice's voice went from annoyed to concerned in a matter of seconds. Remus immediately perked up from his spot, peering over the couch so you could only see his eyes and hair for a brief moment. "Why are you crying?" Remus, who was actually acting human for once, other than the fact that he lunged over the couch, seemed very concerned, something Logan wasn't used to. He muffled a sob into his hands. Remus glanced over to Deceit, who nods. "I can't say I didn't suspect this was coming." Chapter 3. Console. The dark sides weren't what Logan expected. They acted almost entirely different when away from the light. Logan wasn't sure exactly what he did expect. Maybe for them to kick him out on sight or pick on him. He surely wasn't expecting kindness, however. Remus had promptly dragged Logan over to the couch as Deceit promptly got up, heading to the kitchen. Remus quickly draped a blanket over Logan before rushing over to the kitchen. The pair murmured about something Logan couldn't quite hear. All he caught was a stern no from Deceit at the tail end of a conversation. Deceit returned with Remus in tow, handing Logan a cup of hot chocolate, not even asking if Logan actually wanted any. Logan supposed if Deceit had asked, he would have refused, but it was nice to have now that he did have it. "Okay, now that we're settled," Deceit gave Remus a look, who sat down quickly. "Care to inform us on what exactly is going on? I cannot deny I have some speculation, but it's best to hear it from you." Deceit gestures to Logan to talk, only to be greeted with silence. Deceit sighed. "I know you probably don't trust us, but we want to help you." Remus nodded encouragingly. Logan took a shaky breath. By the time Logan finished his story, he was sobbing and nearly hyperventilating. Deceit looked mildly horrified, and Remus seemed incredibly concerned. Logan paused his story only occasionally to catch his breath and take a sip of hot cocoa. Oh, you poor thing, Remus exclaimed after a period of silence. You're the smart one. Who knows what they would have done without you? Dissy only nodded in response to that statement. Like you took down me single-handedly, and you would easily be a threat to Now watch it, Dissy gave him a playful glare. We don't want to jump to conclusions here. Not only is it better than anyone else, the so-called light sides are no better than the dark. Logan isn't any better than anyone else. But he is, Remus teasingly countered, managing to pull a very small smile away from Logan. Maybe he could stay a while. Chapter 4. Sick. It was calm for a while. Logan learned that since Virgil left the dark sides, they had been at each other's throats, but with Logan acting as a barrier of sorts, the strain in their relationship diminished. It was typically quiet, one in their room while the other chilled with Logan in the living area. Logan slept there, not wanting to return to his room. Deceit wasn't particularly the most social, but seemed to feel bad leaving Logan alone with Remus for extended periods of time. Remus, however, was much tamer than the previous encounter with him, mostly just happily watching Disney films, despite his more docile actions. He still mostly was like himself. The only off thing was when Logan found Remus sitting in front of a closed door, seeming to be talking. Logan was supposed to be asleep, and Remus left shortly after. Logan felt more comfortable here than he did back with the light sides, both Remus and Deceit occasionally asking for Logan's advice and thanking him for it. He felt appreciated for once in a long time. But as time went by, Logan began to act increasingly concerning as he spent time in the dark sides. At first, he was just a bit temperamental. He could go on long rants about his old, quote-unquote, friends, the light sides, voice filled with anger and resentment, only to silently cry in the middle of the night. However, the homesickness faded and was replaced with less rational swings. He was going from calm to snippy in a matter of seconds without reason, or taking something as personal as offense before apologizing for his actions. The others soon scratched it up to Logan being ill, coughing fits following his mood swings before he went to his normal behavior. Then Logan started sleeping for longer periods of time. Look, I'm just concerned about him. He's been out for a day and a half. Do you have any idea what's going on with him? Logan couldn't seem to stir from his spot on the couch, only barely awake. He's probably just sick. Did you really have to drag me out of my room for this? I don't think he is. Then what do you think it is? I don't know. A grumble of frustration followed by footsteps and a slamming door closed. I told you he wasn't going to be happy about being dragged out. Oh, shut up, Remus, he half growled. But I was right, Deceit. Remy counted diffusely. You're the one who first wanted to get him. It was your idea. Logan managed to sit up, pulling a coughing fit with him, fortunately putting a halt to their bickering. Both Deceit and Remus scrambled over. Logan's vision went from hazy for a moment. However, Deceit and Remus' voices downed out by static, his only vision almost double. Logan shook his head to clear it. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just dizzy. Logan excused, reading the other's panicked expressions. Deceit sighed, mumbling about getting Logan some tea to help with his cough. Remus watched Logan nervously. They sat in silence for a few moments. Who was that just now? Logan asked quietly to Remus. His eyes widened momentarily, but just shook his head. Deceit returned with a cup of tea for Logan, then switching on the TV. How are you feeling? Deceit queried, not looking away. A bit off, I guess. I'm lacking the words to explain it. Perhaps I'm just figuratively under the weather. Logan yawned, missing a Remus surprised look towards the bedroom door. Hopefully you'll get over it soon, Deceit mumbled, concern creeping in his voice. I've been thinking about something. Logan hesitated. I want to be a dark side too. No, you don't, Deceit simply retorted. What do you mean? You treat me better than they do. Logan's temper was flaring again. They'll be mean to you, Remus mumbled sadly. They already are. Logan jumped to his feet, the room going double ecstatic, filling his hearing. However, this time it seems the others hear it too, doubling back. He wasn't acting like himself. It appears, Logan, whether you want to say or not, it doesn't matter. You don't get a say. Corruption. Logan swiveled around, the face of figure behind him, who was leaning on the door frame of the now open bedroom door, the same one Remus had been talking at previously. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Logan snarled, the room suddenly seeming to glitch. It appears I didn't take Deceit's concern too seriously, as I should have. The figure left the doorframe, approaching Logan slowly and adjusting his pirate-like hat. For that, I'm sorry, but it appears you're becoming one of us. I supposed, just as you wanted. Deceit seemed to go pale. Oh, no. Deceit tried to rush forward, only to stagger back as the world seemed to go black and white. Logan collapsed to his knees, clutching his head. The world, not just for Logan, went double as he removed your 3D glasses in a movie. Remus bolted to the newcomer. Raph, can you stop it? Remus trembled. Raph just shook his head. He has to go through what we did. If I could stop it, I would. Despite his calm demeanor, he looked away from Logan, unable to watch the pain. A sob of pain escaped Logan, who was clutching his head desperately. Logan's immediate surroundings was distorted, like an old VHS tape. Logan's head throbbed in pain, as if his brain was melting, boiling hot. He sobbed pitifully on the floor, tears burning on his cheeks. Jolts of pain sparked down his body. The world seemed to spin and swirl from exerting pain. Collars in places they aren't supposed to be, and objects distorted until barely recognizable. His sobs grew hoarse, as the others watched in horror. We stopped this? Did we cause this? Deceit managed to force out the question, his voice shaking. Whether in fear of his own question or in horror, it was unsure. We didn't cause it. You didn't cause it. I doubt we could have stopped it either, Wrath murmured, pulling Deceit out of Logan's aura and distortion. Deceit is silent before suddenly turning to Wrath abruptly. You knew what was going to happen. You caused this. That's why you're so fucking calm. Deceit hissed at Wrath, who jumped back in surprise. No, I swear, I had nothing to do with this. Liar! Deceit stepped forward menacingly, Remus running back and away from the fight. I just sense a shift in Logan's alignment. You know I'm more great than... A small giggle began to start. That's so much better than us. That's why I hide in my room all day. Deceit mocked in a high-pitched voice, taunting Wrath. This elected a growl from him, Wrath's eyes narrowing. Please, stop fighting. Not again, Remus whispered out. No, this is why I hide in my room all day. I'm sick and tired of you pissing me off. A loud, terrifying cackle echoed through the room, shutting up the arguing pair. All eyes turned to Logan. A Logan they weren't familiar with. Someone hardly recognized. Sometimes, being a dark side changes them in unimaginable ways. We have arrived to the ending. If you'd like to read the neutral ending, stay here. If you'd like to read the good or bad ending, I would go to the description and click on the timestamps. Thank you for reading. The neutral ending. Obscurely, an endless plain of white where the sides could get lost forever, fade away and forgotten, an area to be avoided at all costs. No one would ever check there, making it a perfect place to hide. It was safer than him, at least. Remus and Wrath traversed silently in the abyss, wearing a scared Remus clinging to Wrath's arm. sniffling in near tears. Do you escaped him? Remus fearfully asked, the first time the two had spoken since hiding out there. Wrath pauses, the memory still fresh in his mind. The blindingly bright colors, the insane lighter's taunting voice, and his eyes. Wrath managed to only glimpse them for a moment before shielding Remus and escaping the pole. Deceit. He wasn't so lucky. Wrath sent Remus a pity glance, not responding verbally. They continued walking. Can we stop walking now? Remus whined softly. I'm tired. We have to keep walking. We have to make sure he won't find us, Wrath blankly retorted. We've been walking for hours. He paused. I think, and what about the others? We can't just leave them to... Remus trailed off. It's probably too late, Wrath shrugged. Remus halted, pulling Wrath back. You can't say that. Please, we have to help them. Tears built up in his eyes. He tugged on Wrath's arm when he didn't respond. Please. Wrath sighed in defeat. Fine, we will try, but no promises. He pauses, mumbling. You know I can't stand seeing you cry. Remus mustered a grin, hugging Wrath tightly. Thank you. Now hold on, no promises. We will get anyone. Don't thank me yet. Wrath gently pried Remus off. I pray this doesn't put us in danger. I'm aborting mission the moment we see danger. Got it? Remus nodded enthusiastically. Wrath took a sharp breath, putting a hand out and focusing. Slowly but surely, a small portal opened. It seemed to have taken a lot of strain. I can't hold this open for very long. Not here, Wrath mumbled. Remus took the opportunity to peer through the portal. They appeared to be behind Virgil. Thomas was nowhere, which was not very reassuring. Penn noticed him and opened his mouth to speak, only to get cut off by monotonic laughter. The portal wavered in Wrath's panic. Grab someone and pull now! Wrath hissed. Remus snagged a very startled Virgil by the hood and yanked him through, the portal closing behind him before anyone could call out. Virgil swiveled around to face them. His expression turned to anger and disgust before he looked around in panic. What the hell? Are you trying to get rid of me? Dragging me here? Virgil glared at the pair. Wrath was pacing in distress. What do you mean? We rescued you! Remus tried to smile in reassurance. He doesn't know, None of them do. They aren't prepared to take him. Wrath mumbled. Virgil glanced between the two, his anger fading upon realizing the pair's panic. What the hell is going on? Virgil seemed to remain defensive. He's going to destroy them, Wrath just muttered. Who's he? We didn't know it would happen, I promise. What will happen to Thomas? What are you guys talking about? Virgil yelled, gaining the pair's attention. Logan, they both managed to say in unison. What? Virgil's voice went quiet. He came to us real upset, so we took him in, but he became a dark side and... Remus trailed off. He could have never saw him becoming this bad, Wrath finished. We lost deceit to him. Lost? He didn't kill him, did he? Oh, God. Oh. Virgil began to panic. I'm not sure. It seems like Logan has some sort of hypothetic ability. I unfortunately caught a slim glance of it through his glasses. Wrath explained. We're hiding here so he can't find us. Forever? No one answered. They don't know. What other options did they have? Confront Logan at the risk of fading away to obscurity? Confrontation seemed much too daunting of a task. The others. Virgil started, staring in horror at the ground. I'm sorry, V. We didn't have time. Remus nervously approached Virgil yanking him into a hug, nearly crying. The now trio decided this was a fine place to stay for the rest of a while. Bad ending. Logan slowly stood from his spot on the floor, loosening his tie as he did. Short, crazed snickers escaped him. He pulled his tie completely off once he stood, dropping it to the floor. His outfit was morphed into a long, dark blue coat, the coat tails dragging on the floor, a gray polo replacing his black one. The coat hung haphazardly on his body, and he made no move to adjust it. Logan, you're not still logic, are you? Deceit fearfully and carefully asked. Logan slowly approaches him, head hanging low and obscuring his eyes. Oh, no. Logic is such a burden. He practically peered. Wrath pulls Remus and him a few steps back, but Deceit was just out of reach. Something didn't feel right. Logan carefully placed a hand under Deceit's chin, forcing him to look up at Logan. Another hand took a tight grip at Deceit's wrist, now unable to squirm away. What's the fun in making sense if no one is going to listen to it anyways? Logan opened his eyes, swirling neon colors around his pupil, hypnotizing. Only a matter of seconds before Deceit was locked in, frozen. The oil-like tears strained below Logan's eyes faded away, leaving only bright, happy colors in his wake. A look of terror morphed into an insane grin. Logan dropped his grip on Deceit's wrist and gently moved Deceit's head to look over at Remus and Wrath. Wrath quickly covered Remus's eyes, pulling him behind to shield him. Look at how unhappy your friends are, Dee, unable to see past reality. We really should help them, shouldn't we? They are your friends, aren't they? Logan's voice was horrific, sticky and sweet. Poison. Deceit's smile wavered, but he seemed incapable of dropping it. He just nods, the motion stiff and robotic. Could you go get them for me? With me? Logan sweetly asked, cueing another obedient nod. Deceit turned his rest of the body to face the pair, who were now backing up to run. Deceit suddenly broke into a sprint. Wrath shoved Remus away. Run! But what about... I said go! Wrath snarled, grabbing Deceit by the wrist, holding him back. Remus let out a squeak of hurt, scrambling back and away before taking off running. Logan slowly strolled over to them, Wrath immobile and holding Deceit's back. To buy Remus time, Wrath closed his eyes tight. Oh, are you gonna have to fight happiness? I'm trying to save you, Wrath. Logan peered next to his ear. Or could I go get Remus? Oh, no! No! Remus immediately spoke up. Oh? Leave him alone. And how do you plan on convincing me that? Logan snickered darkly, tilting his head in mock curiosity. Wrath took a sharp, shaking breath, letting him go of Deceit. I'll open my eyes. I'll see your snickering so-called happiness. Wrath fought back tears as he spoke. Just let him go. Please. He's been through enough. Logan hummed, then nodded to himself. All right, then. Open your eyes. Promise? Of course, anything for my dear friend's happiness. Logan giggles, pulling Deceit to the side and standing before Wrath as he hesitantly opened his eyes. I'm sorry, Wrath. I'm afraid I have to go back on my promise. I simply just can't have you be so selfish, keeping your dear friend Remus from being happy. How could you? Logan exclaimed, his voice echoing into Remus's cramped hiding spot. It was hard to breathe, either from fear, his legs pressed into his chest. He wasn't sure. Did Breath betray me? The horrible thought pierced through his heart. Tears surged into his eyes, fighting back a sob. He needed to stay silent. Horror made his heart beat faster as he thought of what would happen if he got caught. Did Wrath send them after me? Is he just as bad as Roman? That he wants to get rid of me? His thoughts only made it harder and harder to stay quiet. He could hear footsteps. Remus covered his mouth, feeling tears wash down his fingertips. He couldn't see anything. His hiding spot in the kitchen cabinets. More footsteps passed, horrifically close. Some were further away. Multiple people were looking for him. Wrath wasn't a traitor. He wants me dead. A sob escaped him, and Remus froze. So did the footsteps outside. The cabinet door slowly opened. Remus could see Wrath's orange shirt and black jacket in the dark room. His face was out of sight, but a hand gently reached towards him. Come on, Ree. It's okay. Raph's voice sounded normal, instantly calming Remus down. Maybe everything was okay. Maybe it's just a bad nightmare, a bad thought, nothing more. Remus hesitated before slipping out of the cabinet, hugging Raph tightly. See, it's safe. You're safe and happy. Raph's voice became staticky. At the end of Remus's heart stopped. Raph's hug back was too tight for him to escape. Logan stood behind Raph, holding a cane with a small monitor on the top. Logan even has candy for us, the voice continued, coming from the monitor, not Raph. Logan scrolled down towards the light side's end of the realm, his 3 new friends behind him. Logan spun his cane in his hand, polishing the screen with his sleeve. He simply couldn't wait to show them how much they vastly misunderstood him. Soon Thomas would have no choice but to listen to him. Or whatever sanity was left of Thomas, that is. The good ending. Logan snickered to himself as he walked down the corridor. He was alone, but no matter. He didn't need anyone. He couldn't deny the fact that he knew it would feel good to finally prove the others wrong. However, they needed to see just how horribly they misunderstood him. The world was, immediate surroundings were immersed in static. His coat dragged as he went. His tails curled at the end. The inside of the coat flickered and flared, illuminating the wooden floors with a blue glow. His footsteps were light clicks, hardly noticeable over the concerned, growing chatter of the quote-unquote light sides as he approached. I simply don't know what's going on. My ideas are spectacular, but we haven't heard a peep from Thomas about it. I haven't heard from the kiddo in days. I'm really worried about him. Virgil gestured vaguely to Thomas's spot, as if hoping to summon him like he does with the others. Wish it worked the other way. Well, you did summon someone else. Logan's voice was low and threatening. Of course, Logan. That's what... Logan's voice trailed off, actually seeing Logan. Virgil gives Roman a strange look before seeing Logan as well, going pale. His eyes don't look like eyes, Virgil shouted suddenly, scurrying over to Roman and Patton in fear. Oh, come on, kiddo. Why is that? It's just Logan. Patton frowned. With a new outfit? Dark side, Patton. Virgil mumbled. Roman was silent. Aw, Virg, are you scared of me? Will you finally listen to me for once? Logan snarled out. Instead of you telling me to shut up like every other time. Virgil opened his mouth to speak, but only a small sob escaped him, Patton pulling Virgil into a hug. We fucked up, Roman mumbled. Roman, no, sweetie, it's Logan who's threatening us. Patton started. Roman just shook his head. We pushed him aside. Roman stared at the floor. It took you until now to figure that one out? Are you all so incompetent you can't even come to a logical conclusion without me? I was? Logan took a step forward. Roman surged forward, eyes closed tight. Logan visibly flinched in surprise, hypnotic eyes going wide. I'm sorry. Roman bruised his face into Logan's shoulder, avoiding meeting eye contact and hugging him. What? Logan barely managed to start before Roman cutting all off. Virgil and Logan looked at each other, realizing fully what dawned him. I'm sorry for all the times we pushed you aside, for all the times we told you to shut up, for all the insults we threw at you. Roman was beginning to cry, tightening his grip. I'm so sorry for everything. Logan's form flickered, his hypnotic swirls and his eyes dulling. He encouraged the others to come closer, before finally joining in on the hug. Patton managed to wedge himself under Roman's arm, rubbing circles into Roman's back while hugging Logan. Virgil hesitated longer, then Patton, but stepped closer enough that Roman managed to snag his hoodie, pulling him in. It was silent for a long moment. I missed you. Virgil started. We all missed you, Lo. Patton added on, shooting Virgil an apologetic look for cutting him off. Virgil simply mustered a small smile. Logan couldn't fight against them, the static around him melting away, leaving a horrified Logan in its place. What have I done? Logan mumbled, panic seeping to his voice. No. This is our fault, not yours. Roman looked up, meeting Logan's eyes. Logan immediately burst into tears, leaning heavily against the others. We could have been there for you. You all were there for me, Virgil quietly added. We're family, we need to stick together. Do you remember what ILY means? Do you? Patton pipped up. Logan mustered a small laugh. Of course, Patton. I love you. No, I love you. We all do. Thank you for listening. Like I said, if you want to read the alternate endings, separately, the timestamps are in the description. Please do a gift of fan fiction. I like fan fiction. You should write some fan fiction because, hey, it's Thanksgiving break. And what else are we supposed to do at 3 a.m.? Am I right or am I right? Oh, God, that was a noise. I hope you enjoyed this book, and yeah, my social media links are in the description below. I have Twitter, Instagram, Wattpad, AO3, Discord. I have all of it. So check in the description for all of that, and like always, do your best.